Coming up, a helpful guide on everything tech while visiting Walt Disney World. Disney presents Beyond the Kingdoms. Today's episode of Beyond the Kingdoms is proudly sponsored by SmallWorldVacations.com, authorized Disney vacation planners. Their team of knowledgeable agents have been creating the magic for over 20 years. And if you contact them today, you can find out on how you can save on your next Disney World trip, including getting the Disney dining plan for free. But you've got to act fast and book by March 24th. Small World Vacations, where the magic begins.
Hello everyone, and welcome to this week's main show of Beyond the Kingdoms. I'm your host David, and like always, I've got a fun and helpful guide for your next Disney trip. If you're new to this channel, don't forget to hit that subscribe button down below so that you never miss a video. But let's not waste any more time and jump right into the world of technology at Disney World.
Back in 2014, Disney introduced My Magic Plus, a major overhaul to all the tech experienced in the parks in Orlando. This included a revamping of Fastpass to Fastpass Plus, the introduction of MagicBands, new apps to help you navigate around the parks, and more. MagicBands were one of the first big changes introduced at Disney World back in 2014. This now acts as your ticket, room key, and much more. And they come in a variety of colors and designs. Since it first debuted, the MagicBands saw a subtle update in design in 2016. New apps have also been introduced to help guests to stay up to date with information while traveling inside the parks. You can now use these apps to check wait times, pre-order food, and look at your on-ride photos. But the biggest and sometimes controversial change to Disney World tech is Fastpass Plus. Gone are the days of when you had to run from kiosk to kiosk to get a paper Fastpass ticket to ride your favorite attractions, without having to wait in the line. Now, you select these choices months ahead, before you even leave home to Orlando.
Now, today's episode is designed for any of you feeling a little bit overwhelmed by all of this tech talk. If this is your first time, you're probably already confused by some of these elements. And if you haven't been in a couple of years, some of this may be unrecognizable. So, today's episode is broken down into 3 main sections. First, everything you need to do to set up. Second, how to use some of this technology to make reservations. And third, how to use these tools while actually traveling inside the parks and hotels. Alright, the first step in all of this is to obviously make a Disney account. If you've already done a booking for a hotel or a complete package, you may already have an account. If you go to mydisneyexperience.com and sign in, you'll already see a list of plans that you have made. If you haven't done this, go ahead and do that now. And once that initial setup is done, I want to highlight 3 specific tips to set you up for success.
Okay, first of all, go to the top of the page that says My Disney Experience. And in the drop-down list, click on Profile under your name. This is where you can do all the boring stuff of making sure all your personal details are up to date. But there are 3 key elements to really double-check here. First of all, you want to make sure you have your payment method filled in. The card you use here will be used for room charges, and if you purchase anything in a store or at a restaurant with your MagicBand. Secondly, this is also where you can create a 4-digit PIN. You're going to have to enter this PIN when you scan your MagicBand and purchase something. This is really good for kids as well because you can decide if they know the PIN or not to make purchases, or create their own PIN, or simply block the ability for them to make any purchases at all. And speaking of other members in your group, let's move on to the third most important element to set up here, your friends and family profiles.
Now, even though you've already got a Disney account set up and you're the one making all the reservations, you have to make sure you have profiles set up for everyone in your traveling group. Now, you can do this in 2 ways. You can either sign into your account and set up a profile for every member of your family. Or if you're traveling with extended family who already have their own accounts, but you want to look at each other's plans, you can link up with existing accounts.
Okay, to do this, if you're on the main profile page again, go up to the top right corner of the screen where it says My Disney Experience, and in that drop-down list, click on Family and Friends. As you can see, my list of family and friends is already here, but just scroll down to the bottom and click on Add Guest. If you're going to manage all the profiles in your family, simply click where it reads, I'll enter the name and age, and then you're going to want to fill in the appropriate fields. And when you're done, select I want to manage all plans for this guest. Now, if you're connecting with someone who already has an account, you still have to fill in these fields, but you'll select invite this guest to connect instead of the other option, and then type in their email address. And it's important that you type in the address that they've used to create their account. Now, a second way to do this is to just scroll up a little bit and select the option that says import from a Walt Disney World Resort Hotel reservation. And obviously you'll need their confirmation number to do this.
It's really important to do this early in the initial planning phase, because when it comes time to book fast passes, you need to make sure all of these profiles are in place to assign a fast pass to each person. And it's worth noting that if you're connected with extended family, you can control what information is shared between you.
Again, if you're on the list of family and friends profiles, you can click update on the right and choose either if that person can see all your plans or just the reservations that you both share.
Okay, the next thing you want to do in this initial setup phase is to download 3 key apps. They are the My Disney Experience app, the Shop Disney app, and Lyft. Lyft is what you're going to use if you ever want to use minivans while traveling around property. Now, I'll discuss this a little bit more later, but it's worth noting that minivans are really expensive. But it's still a good idea to download Lyft, because if you're not traveling to Disney with a car, you may want to explore alternatives to taking buses, boats, and monorails. And while you're at it, you might as well download Uber as well, just to compare some pricing. Okay, so the last thing we want to do in this initial setup phase has to do with MagicBands.
You're going to use MagicBands a lot while traveling Walt Disney World. This will act as your park ticket, your room key, and as a method of payment. Now, when you book a hotel on Disney property, you will get a standard MagicBand for free. The same goes for when you purchase an annual pass. You'll also get a free one. And these free ones are just basic MagicBands that come in 8 different colors. You've got gray, purple, red, orange, and even yellow, green, blue, and pink. If you've seen different designs or limited edition MagicBands online or in the parks, these cost extra. And if you purchase one of those, you'll have to manually add it to your account to make sure it is active and working before you use it to enter the parks or your hotel room and so on.
Now, if this is your first trip to Disney World and you've already booked your Disney hotel, your free MagicBand will automatically be added to your account and shipped to your house. Now, you can customize these guys in 2 ways. First, you get to choose the color, and you can choose to have your name printed on the back. Now, I would recommend doing this a couple of weeks before your trip, because if you customize 10 days before your trip, it will get shipped to your house, but if you do it in less than 10 days before your trip, it'll be waiting for you at your hotel. If you live internationally, you too get to customize your MagicBand, but it won't be shipped internationally. Yours will be waiting for you at the hotel when you check in. And I want to point out that if you have stayed at a Disney World hotel before and you already have a MagicBand, you can choose to decline getting a new one. You just got to make sure that the old one is active. So let's check on how to do that now.
Okay, so again, I'm on the My Disney Experience main page on the internet, and I'm already signed in. Now, to check MagicBands, go to the top right corner where it reads My Disney Experience, and click on My MagicBands and Cards in the drop-down list. If this is your first trip and you need to customize your MagicBands, these will be listed right at the top of the screen. As you can see here, I have an upcoming resort reservation, so this is where you can customize that. It would read Get Started on the right-hand side, just like my annual pass holder band does right here. But if you're checking older MagicBands or ones that you've purchased in a store, keep on scrolling down. And first, as you can see, I have a long list of older MagicBands, and you can double check if they are active. You'll notice there's a long number next to the picture of each band, and this number is also printed on the back of the MagicBand itself. So that's how you're going to double check that they're working. Now, if you purchased a special limited edition MagicBand in a store and you want to link it, Keep scrolling all the way to the bottom and click where it reads Link. Once you do that, you'll be on a new page, and right here where it says Magic Band, you can click on that and fill in the number on the back of your band. And if for some reason you have a hotel reservation and you didn't see your Magic Bands on the previous page, this is also where you can type in that hotel confirmation and make sure it's all set up. But really, that should be happening automatically anyway.
Okay, so that completes the more tedious stuff that you've got to do in the initial planning process. This next section is a little bit more of the fun stuff. How to use Disney technology to make reservations. I'm specifically talking about dining and Fastpasses here. I recommend doing dining reservations and Fastpass choices on the app so that you can do it in the comfort of your home. That way, if you need to make changes while you're inside the parks, you already feel comfortable with it. So let's first look at how to make dining reservations.
Dining reservations at Disney World can be made 180 days ahead. If you're staying at a Disney hotel, you can make dining reservations for the entire duration of your trip 180 days before your vacation begins. But there is a cap. You'll only be allowed to book 10 days worth of dining. If you watched my top tips for Disney World beginners video, you'll recall that I said it's good to put those hard to get reservations later in your trip if you're staying on property. This is especially true for restaurants like Be Our Guest or the new Storybook Dining at Wilderness Lodge, because you'll have a slight edge over off-property guests. If you've chosen to stay off of Disney World property, you will have to book restaurants a day at a time. So, 180 days before the first day of your trip, you can book day 1 of dining reservations. The next day, you can book day 2 of dining, and so on and so on. Once you hit that 180-day mark, dining reservations open up at 7 a.m. Eastern Time. But let's take a look at how to book these restaurants on the My Disney Experience app. Okay, so once you've opened the app, there are 2 ways to do this. You can select Reserve Dining right in the middle of the screen, or select the plus symbol at the bottom. Either way works. So I'm going to select the Reserve Dining button, and then on the next page, obviously, you can choose how many people are dining and the date you want to go to the restaurant. Once you've selected a date, you can choose a meal time or a specific time slot. Then you'll get a full list of restaurants available. And once you choose a location and time, you're on to the last step. And this is why setting up your card in your profile is really important, because you'll need that here to make this reservation happen. So once the card is ready to go and you've approved the terms and conditions, select Book Now, and that's it, you're ready. You'll next get a confirmation screen, and towards the bottom, you'll see that you can update all the guests dining with you. And again, this is why having those profiles set up is really handy. Later on, if you want to change the time of your reservation, update who's going, or even cancel, you can do this right here.
So that's it. That's how you book dining reservations on the app. A little later on, I'm going to talk about how to order food at quick service restaurants, but let's next look at Fastpass choices.
Fastpass Plus is a free service available to everyone. So even if you stay off property, you can use this at no extra cost. Now, you can choose up to 3 Fastpasses per day of your trip in advance. Each park has a little bit of a different system. In some parks, you can only book 1 from a certain group and your remaining 2 from a different group. For more tips on this, click on this playlist. I've got a video for each park explaining how Fastpasses are divided and some helpful strategies. Now, like the dining reservations, guests staying at a Disney World hotel have a slight edge. 60 days before the start of your trip, you can book Fastpasses for the entire duration of your vacation. So again, putting popular rides like Flight of Passage and Seven Dwarfs Mine Train later in your trip is really wise. If you're staying off property, you can book Fastpasses 30 days before your trip. You just have to make sure that you've purchased your tickets to book them. And like the restaurants, you'll have to do these 1 day at a time. Reservations for Fastpasses open up at 7 a.m. Eastern Time at your 60 and 30-day mark. So set those alarm clocks for when Fastpass Day comes. Do not make the mistake that I see so many people doing, which is waiting until the day of your trip to make these selections, because the really popular rides will run out quickly. Let's look at how to book these Fastpasses on the My Disney Experience app. Okay, so when you open up the app, you'll see a button at the bottom left that reads Get Fastpass, or again, you can hit the plus sign at the very bottom. But here I'm going to select the Get Fastpass button. First, you will see your list of profiles. So once again, this is why setting up those profiles early is really crucial, because you'll need them here to make sure that everybody gets a Fastpass. So first, select all the people traveling with you and hit continue. And then you're going to select a specific park that you're going to visit. You must note that your initial 3 Fastpasses need to all be in the same park. You can't book Space Mountain as your first choice and then Soarin' at Epcot for your second. They all need to be in the same place. On the day you're traveling, once you've completed those initial 3, your 4th Fastpass can be at any park, so just know that. Okay, so once you've selected your park, you'll then see several times across the top and a list of attractions available. So you can approach this in either way. You can be specific with a time, or you can look for a specific ride. I'm going to choose Haunted Mansion here. And next you'll notice that there's some times at the top, and you can scroll left and right to see other times in the day that are available. Once you select a time, you'll see that you're given a full hour window to enter the attraction, and it will display all the people you have in your group. So just make sure all of that's correct and then hit confirm and you're done. And then you can continue booking the remaining 2 for that day, or you can start booking for another day. Some important notes here. Similar to when you book a restaurant, you'll see here in this little confirmation section that you can modify times and your party. However, you can only either remove someone from the group reservation or add somebody in. And when you add somebody in, the system's either going to give you a similar time where all of you can go on together, or it may even tell you, hey, there's no slots available at this time to add the person, but you can go at a different time. So that's where things get a little bit tricky.
So there you go. That's how you make Fastpass and dining reservations on the My Disney Experience app. Once you've done this, click on See All Plans. That way, you can look at all the reservations you've done in order. And if you notice that 2 things are a little bit too close together, go ahead and make some changes now. Next, you'll have to use all of these tools if you want to save time and energy while on vacation. So, to round out today's episode, I've got 5 tips on how to use Disney technology while traveling in the parks and the hotels.
So, like I said earlier, you want to make sure that the MagicBands you are using are all active and ready to go on your profile before you visit the parks. You're first going to use this as your room key, and if you're traveling with your own car, you'll notice that at the security gate to the resort, there will be a lane dedicated to hotel guests, where again, you'll use that MagicBand to enter the resort. When you first arrive to the parks, MagicBands are used as your ticket to enter, and the same applies for tickets to events that you have to pay for, so things like Mickey's Not So Scary or the Christmas party. And when it's time to use your Fastpass on your favorite attraction, you'll again scan that MagicBand at the Fastpass entrance to enter the queue. But one thing I haven't mentioned yet is photos. If you've purchased Memory Maker and want a PhotoPass photographer to take your picture, make sure you scan your MagicBand with the photographer. Because a couple of hours later, after that picture was taken, it will pop up on the home screen of the My Disney Experience app. And the same applies to on-ride photos. When you exit rides like Splash Mountain, you can see your ride photo after the exit. And if you like it and you want to add it to Memory Maker, simply scan the MagicBand that's underneath the photo screens. Tip number 2 is about Fastpass kiosks. Now, to be honest, I would avoid using these if you can. This is why I suggest you book your initial Fastpasses at the 60 or 30-day window on the app at home. That way you can become familiar with how it works and feel comfortable. Because the minute you get off that 3rd Fastpass attraction, you can go into the app and make your 4th choice. It's a lot faster than heading to a kiosk, waiting in line, and navigating the touchscreens. Now, if for some reason your phone dies or you're having some problems and you have to go to a kiosk, at least know where the locations are. Each park only has a few, and some of them are pretty far apart. Next, let's look at food again. One of the best technology features at Disney World is the mobile food order service, which can also be found on the My Disney Experience app. This service is available at the major quick service restaurants in the parks. Think of places with lots of indoor seating. I'm talking about Pinocchio's in Magic Kingdom or the Backlot Express in Hollywood Studios. This is not available at the snack carts or any of the quick service locations in World Showcase, oddly enough. But if you are eating at one of the major quick service restaurants in the parks, you definitely want to use this because you're going to save a tremendous amount of time. on the home screen of the app, look for the button that reads Order Food. Then you'll see a full list of restaurants that offer the service. And once you select the restaurant you want, click Order Food and look through the menu. And once you've made your order, the card you have stored on file will be the one that gets charged. And you'll next see a button that says, I'm here, prepare my food. And then you'll be notified when the food is ready and where to go to get it. If you're on the dining plan, you can use this at the quick service restaurants and redeem your meal credits and snack credits. And it's quite convenient because you get to keep track of how many credits you have left on the plan. So everyone can use this now. Next, we have an app that I really haven't talked about yet, the Shop Disney app. This is great for those of you who love to go shopping. You can use this app in two ways. You can either browse the Disney Parks merchandise from home and order souvenirs to be delivered. And if your order total is over $75, you'll get free shipping within the US, so that's pretty good. But this is really good if you're looking for something specific in a store and you can't find it. You can either type in the product you're looking for or scan the barcode on the physical product and see what other stores are selling this item and even the stock levels, which I think is good. So if I see something I'd like but I'm in a hurry, I often scan the barcode and see if I can just purchase it somewhere else that's more convenient. And finally, we have the Lyft app. You will specifically need this one if you plan to use one of the minivans. When this first rolled out, only hotel guests could utilize the service, but now anyone visiting Disney World can open the Lyft app and request a minivan. This is pretty simple. Once you open the app, you can select the departure point and the destination location on the app. And then you'll be notified on how long it will take for your car to arrive and how long the actual journey will take. Now, some changes have come to pricing for minivans. Each ride will start with a base price of $25, and then the rest is determined on how far you travel. So gone are the days of the flat rate that used to be here, and the prices can get pretty high. So if you look at the cost of a standard Lyft or Uber versus a minivan, you'll notice that the difference is pretty considerable. There is definitely a discussion and debate if a minivan is worth using versus the standard Ubers and Lyfts, but I will have to save that for another day.
So there you have it, a very thorough look on how to use Walt Disney World technology on your next trip. Now, I know that today's episode had a lot of information in it, so feel free to leave a comment below with some of your questions. And keep your eyes peeled in the future for more tech videos and articles. But that will certainly have to do it for today. Thank you so much for watching, and remember, if you can dream it, you can do it.